Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Representing in MultiVersus. And no, we're not doing a new character. We're actually going to be doing a character that is not that good in the game in my opinion. Steven is a okay character in MultiVersus, enough to where he is my main, but I think he could be a little bit better presented in the game. So let's represent Steven Universe. There are really two ways to redo Steven Universe's moveset. One by making him a lot stronger and a more buff boy for solos, but taking away all of his support moves, or at least most of them. The other way is to keep him as a support character, push him even further that way, but make him a lot less good by himself. Now, we'll do some little smaller critiques of that later on, but for now, let's completely scrap his moveset and make one from the ground up, with the focus on making him a solo player. For his neutral special, he has a Scream that charges his pink meter. Now, if you know anything about Super Smash Bros. Or Cloud from Final Fantasy, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This is literally straight up the exact same thing. You can charge it manually, or gain it by doing damage or taking damage during a match. Deliberate charging, of course, is the fastest way to make the meter go up, and once doing so, Steven will turn pink, gaining pink powers. Once he turns pink, he will have 20 seconds to use one of his special moves that will change when they're in pink mode. During that 20 seconds, he has a damage, speed, and defense buff. So you can utilize that for 20 seconds before being required to use one of your specials or risk losing the pink power. If you have pink power activated and you use your neutral special, he will do a big Scream move that will launch all players around him into oblivion. For his down special, Steven will kiss the ground. This will put a grass area around him. Any player that is standing on this grass will be healed 5 HP per second for a total of 10 seconds. And as long as you're standing on it the whole time, you can get healed 50 HP, which is a pretty good chunk. However, you have to play King of the Hill over the grass pile to be able to keep it, as your enemies can also utilize the grass. So you have to keep them away from the grass and maybe risk losing it all to them. The grass only heals while you're standing on it, but Steven and his teammate also get a 10 HP bonus the second that he kisses the ground. Steven and his teammate can actually have a total of 60 HP be taken away from the grass. In pink mode, Steven will instead lick his hand and slam it straight on the ground, not creating a grass field this time, but instantly healing him and his teammate 40% health. That means you don't get the maximum that you could have in the last one, but it's instant and you don't have to wait around and play King of the Hill to, well, keep it. Steven's side special will have you push your shield out to the side. Pretty much exactly the same as what he already has in the game. It will create a wall wherever Steven throws the shield. However, when he has pink power, he will push out a wall of spikes. This will also create a wall, but on one side, any player other than Steven and his teammate will be hurt and knocked back by those spikes. For Steven's up special, he will put a shield on the ground or wherever he is in the air, similar to his normal up special, but instead of spawning it above him as a attack, he will spawn it as a floor and jump off of it, creating an attack with his fists. If he's pink, this will create a spiked floor where the top is a floor that he can jump off of and the bottom is spikes that will damage enemies. Steven will push off of this ground and slam the whole tile to the bottom, damaging any players. You can use this as a spike move to push enemies down below you, but they can jump through the bottom as long as they dodge through it. Moving on to our first intermission. So these intermissions are just to go in between different sections, and for our first one, we're going to be talking about Steven's perks. For Steven's first perk, he has a Monster Steven perk. Once you reach 100% of your pink abilities, as soon as you hit any special buttons, Steven will turn into Monster Steven for about 20 seconds. This changes his entire moveset, which I will not go into or design myself, but essentially, he's just a bigger, heavier version of Steven without any of his healing abilities or any of his projectile abilities. He just has big, massive swings of the tail, hits, that sort of thing. He is extremely difficult to knock around, but if you can manage to deal enough damage to him when he changes back to Steven, it'll be a lot easier to hit him off the stage because he keeps all damage with him when he changes back. He will also change back immediately if you somehow manage to get him off the stage and KO him, but good luck with that. His second perk is the Always Pink perk. This has Steven turn pink at the start of the match, and he never loses his pink abilities. However, his specials do not change and will be the normal specials. So you do lose out on being able to do any of the cool special moves, but you do get all of the speed, damage, and defense buffs that go along with being pink. The only one that does change is his neutral special, which will always be the Scream. It'll just be a much lesser version that doesn't go over as much of the stage as the other one does. Moving on to his attacks. For his neutral attack, I'm actually just going to straight up use the attack he already has in the game, a charge punch. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I didn't feel it needed to really be changed at all. For his side attack, he will place out a shield. This means you can have 3 different shields out on the field at once. One from your side attack, one from your side special, and one from your up special. It will go directly in front of him instead of being able to move out like a projectile, but it will, nonetheless, be another shield. His up attack will have him striking his shield upwards into the air, giving a pretty good arc in front of him as well. This will go pretty far up, so not super good for combos as much as his down attack is. His down attack is a charge attack that has him spawn in another platform with spikes. It will go straight down, spiking the opponents if you manage to be near the ledge, or if they're standing on the ground, it will push them just slightly up enough to set them up for combos. His dash attack will have him spawn in a 4th shield. This shield will disappear immediately after he jumps off of it doing his dash attack punch. Time for a secondary break. This time to talk about the 2 Steven variants that I talked about at the beginning of the video. One that is stronger for solos and one that is stronger for support. I wanted to do a sort of mini version that only talks about the small changes that need to be made to turn Steven into these ideal versions of himself for the base game. Instead of redesigning Steven as a whole, you just need to change a couple moves around, as well as some values that I'm not going to go into, to make him better. For the first one, Steven will become a more solo-themed character, like what we're doing now, but instead of completely redesigning his moveset, the only thing they have to do is make Watermelon Steven actually viable. Watermelon Steven, as it stands in the game right now, is pretty much just a distraction. Even in duos, he doesn't really do anything. The idea of Watermelon Steven is to take the attacks off of you and perhaps do some damage to the opponent while being able to heal yourself and run around not doing anything. Which is a good thing because Steven isn't strong enough in solos by himself, really. What they need to do is just make Watermelon Steven live a little bit longer and do more attacks than he already does. He shouldn't have access to any of the specials that Steven has, but any basic attacks and maybe some aerials as well, he should have access to. This will give Watermelon Steven a much bigger advantage to have on the stage, and Steven would actually be able to survive long enough to heal himself back down to 0, which is kind of the whole point. To make Steven a more support-themed character though, keep Watermelon Steven the same, or even maybe axe him altogether, but make Steven able to use his bubble in a different way. 2 different ways, in fact. One that allows him to use the bubble on himself only and not use it on his teammate, and the other way is to do the exact opposite. Allow you to put a bubble around your teammate while still being able to move around and attack without having to risk them getting hurt. These 2 things alone, I think, would really help Steven's kit in the support category, as well as maybe upping his values for his healing, as it's pretty terrible as it is now. And there's actually a pretty decent way to make this possible in the way that MultiVersus already works. Just make them signature perks. Have a perk that makes Watermelon Steven a lot more viable while giving him some other downside, like not being able to use one of his other signature perks, which are also very good. Or have another signature perk that lets you do the bubble thing. You might have to take away Watermelon Steven for that, but however you need to do it, I think this is the way to do it. Just make signature perks that make Steven better. That's all you gotta do. Moving along from the intermission, and now back with the aerials. Steven's neutral air will take direct inspiration from the movie, and he will do his classic change pose. Pretty much identical to his weird Steven explosion thing, but it wouldn't be so out of character. His side attack would be a Falcon Punch style punch. Something that you hit once, and he has to take a few seconds to hit with it. Instead of it being a normal charge move, it's a commitment rather than just a decision. He will start falling a lot slower, almost to the point where he's not falling when you do this move though, so you can line it up a little bit better like this, but it also makes it a little bit easier to read. His up air, I am literally just going to be reusing his up air that's already in the game. It's pretty quick, it's pretty fast, it's good for combos. I think it's good for solo play as well. His down air is the exact same as his up special, but going down. Once he hits the ground, there will be a mini explosion if he's in his pink mode. Otherwise, not so much. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video, and, well, I got one more announcement for you. I have a live stream happening Monday, May 27th, the day before MultiVersus. It's going to consist of making an entirely new character from scratch, just like the one you're seeing here. I've already picked the character out, and I'll give you a little tease. They're sort of like the hero of the guitar realm. Yeah, but thanks for watching. See you then.